Section 1. The beginning of doubts. I never thought I would find myself telling this story. For years, I believed my marriage was strong, unshakable even. We had built a life together, shared laughter, dreams, and promises that felt unbreakable. But life has a way of wearing down even the strongest walls, and over time the cracks began to show. It didn't happen overnight. At first, it was just silence. Long evenings where words seemed too heavy to carry. My partner came home tired, distracted, often more interested in work emails than in me. I tried to tell myself it was normal, that every relationship went through dull seasons. But deep down I felt it, the slow fading of the spark that once kept us warm. I found myself craving attention, not in grand ways, but in the small gestures, an affectionate glance, a shared joke, a hand that reached for mine without asking. Those moments had grown rare, and I felt the emptiness spread inside me like a shadow. And then there was him. He wasn't supposed to matter. Just a colleague, someone I passed in the hallways, someone I exchanged polite greetings with. But there was something about the way he smiled, the way he listened, that unsettled me. Where my partner had grown distant, he seemed present. Where my words at home were ignored, he responded as if they meant something. It started so innocently. A casual chat by the coffee machine, a light laugh during a meeting, a shared complaint about how fast the week was going. Nothing unusual, nothing worth remembering, except I did remember. I remembered the way he made me feel seen. The guilt came quickly, like a whisper at the back of my mind. Why are you thinking about him? Why does it matter? I told myself it was harmless. People talk, people laugh, what's the harm in that? But late at night, when I lay awake beside my partner, I couldn't shake the way his words echoed in my mind. Days turned into weeks, and those short interactions became little pockets of light in my otherwise dull routine. A message popped up on my phone. Rough day? You'll get through it. Just a few words, but they meant more than the silence I had grown used to at home. I tried to bury the feelings, to convince myself that it was nothing. But deep inside I knew I was lying. Something was beginning, something I didn't yet understand but could already feel pulling me in. And as I bit my lip nervously after one of our conversations, I couldn't ignore the thought creeping into my heart. This is dangerous. This could change everything. Section 2. The forbidden connection. It didn't take long before harmless conversations turned into something deeper. A text here, a phone call there. At first we had reasons. Work-related questions, shared responsibilities. But slowly the excuses faded, and the real reason remained. We simply wanted to talk to each other. I began to notice the difference in myself. My mood lifted when I saw his name on my screen. I caught myself smiling at my phone, my heart racing with every vibration, terrified my partner might notice. The thrill was intoxicating, and yet the guilt gnawed at me with equal force. We found excuses to linger after meetings, staying behind while everyone else left. The conversations grew more personal. Childhood memories, fears, dreams never shared aloud. He listened in a way that made me feel cherished, and for the first time in years I felt alive. But with every stolen moment, the line blurred. One evening after a long day, he walked me to my car. It should have been nothing, just two colleagues saying goodbye. But as I turned to unlock the door, his hand brushed mine, lingering just long enough to send a shiver through me. We both froze, staring at each other, as if realizing what was happening in real time. I pulled back quickly, forcing a laugh, pretending it was accidental. But that touch lingered in my mind for days. It was small, almost nothing. And yet it felt like everything. The messages grew riskier. A compliment hidden between casual words. A late-night call where his voice softened, and I caught myself whispering back. I knew I was standing on the edge of something dangerous, and yet I couldn't step away. The night it finally happened, I remember the silence more than anything. We had met under the pretense of work, but the air between us was thick with something unspoken. Every glance lasted too long, every word carried weight. My heart pounded so hard I could barely think. He stepped closer and I didn't move away. I should have. Every part of me screamed that this was wrong. But in that moment, the desire drowned out the guilt. When his hand found mine, I didn't pull away. When his lips brushed against mine, I didn't resist. Time seemed to stop. I felt my breath hitch, my body trembling with both fear and longing. I caught my lip between my teeth, holding back the storm of emotions crashing inside me, knowing I was crossing a line I could never uncross. When it was over, I sat in silence, unable to meet his eyes. The weight of what I had done pressed heavily against my chest. I had betrayed my vows, my partner, and myself. And yet, part of me couldn't deny the truth. For the first time in years I felt something. Something I thought I had lost forever. But deep down, I knew this wasn't the beginning of happiness. It was the beginning of the end. Section 3. The Guilt and the Double Life. The days after that night felt unreal, like I was living in two separate worlds. In one I was the spouse, sharing meals at the dinner table, asking about work, pretending everything was fine. In the other, I was consumed by stolen glances, hidden messages, and the memory of a touch I couldn't forget. First I thought I could manage it, that I could keep the two lives apart. I told myself I was strong enough, careful enough, to never let one bleed into the other. But secrets have weight, and the more you try to bury them, the heavier they become. Every time my phone buzzed, I felt my chest tighten. Was it him? Would my partner notice the way I grabbed for the phone too quickly? The lies came easier than I expected. Late meetings, sudden errands, unexplained silences. I hated myself for how natural it became to deceive the person I once swore to love forever. And yet, when I was with him, the guilt vanished. His presence was intoxicating, filling the emptiness that had haunted me for so long. He laughed at my jokes, noticed the small details, made me feel like I mattered again. I knew it was wrong, but the truth was simple. I didn't want to let go. But guilt has a way of finding you in the quiet moments. Lying in bed beside my partner, I felt the chasm between us widening. Their touch felt unfamiliar, their voice like an echo from another life. I tried to hide my distance, but they weren't blind. One evening, they looked at me across the dinner table, eyes filled with suspicion instead of warmth. "You seem different lately," they said softly. "Is something going on?" My heart dropped. I forced a smile, shook my head, mumbled something about stress and work. They nodded, but the doubt lingered in their eyes. And that was when the fear truly set in. I started overcompensating, bringing home flowers, cooking dinners, pretending to be more present than I really was. But inside I was unraveling. I would glance in the mirror and hardly recognize myself, lips bitten raw from holding back the truth. The paranoia only grew. One afternoon, my partner picked up my phone without asking, and I nearly jumped across the room to snatch it back. Their eyes narrowed, but they didn't say anything. That silence was louder than any accusation. I knew the walls were closing in. I knew it was only a matter of time before the truth slipped out, before one lie contradicted another, before the weight of what I had done crushed everything I once called my life. And in my heart, I whispered the question I already feared the answer to. When the truth comes out, who will be left standing? Section 4. The Fallout and the Lesson. The truth has a way of surfacing, no matter how hard you try to bury it. For me, it came suddenly, crashing into my life like a wave I couldn't escape. My partner found the messages, innocent enough to someone else, but damning when strung together with the timing, the secrecy, the late-night calls. The confrontation was explosive. I can still hear the tremor in their voice as they asked, "How long has this been going on?" I wanted to lie to soften the blow, but the weight of guilt finally crushed me. The words spilled out, broken, hesitant, soaked in shame. The look in their eyes will haunt me forever. Betrayal, disbelief, heartbreak, all tangled together in a silence that hurt more than the shouting that followed. My partner's tears fell faster than my apologies, and in that moment, I realized just how deeply I had shattered the life we built together. The other man, the one who had seemed like my escape, began to pull away. The excitement that once fueled our connection dissolved under the pressure of reality. Calls went unanswered, messages slowed, and I understood the truth. I had destroyed my marriage for someone who was never truly mine. The nights became unbearable. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every decision, every stolen glance, every moment where I could have chosen differently. The house felt colder, emptier. My partner's absence at the table was louder than any argument could have been. Friends and family whispered, some offering comfort, others judgment. But the harshest voice was the one inside my head, the one reminding me that I had betrayed not just my partner, but myself. I had traded trust for thrill, loyalty for loneliness. Time passed, but the wounds remained raw. The mirror became my enemy. Every reflection was a reminder of who I had become. I caught myself biting my lip again, the same way I had in that moment of weakness, but now it wasn't from desire. It was from regret, from trying to hold back tears that never seemed to end. If there's one truth I've learned, it's this. Infidelity doesn't solve emptiness, it multiplies it. The spark I chased turned to ashes, leaving me with nothing but scars. Looking back now, I can't rewrite what I've done. I can only carry the weight of it, hoping that by telling this story, someone else might hear the warning in my words. I caught my lip between my teeth that day, feeling every inch of temptation as I crossed the line. But the real pain came after, the kind that lingers long after passion fades. Because betrayal isn't just about breaking vows. It's about breaking yourself,